Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batwoman Elegy. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Batwoman Elegy is part of the Batman Reborn series, but unlike the other trades that have come out with Batman as of recently, it does not say Batman Reborn on the top. The reasons for this is probably, one, this is the deluxe hardcover edition, and they just didn't feel like putting the Batman Reborn on there to have Batwoman stand out on her own. Or two, the fact that this isn't a relaunch of an old title or the launch of a new title. This is just a continuation of Detective Comics. So in saying that, this is part of the Batman Reborn series, but despite the fact that this is part of the Batman Reborn series, out of all the titles that are being released right now, Batgirl, Red Robin, Gotham Sirens, Batman Robin, The Outsiders, this is probably the most disconnected from the Batman universe and the Batman family. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I'll get into that when I go into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Let's actually talk about Batwoman herself. Batwoman's name is Kathy Kane, and she first came out in the Golden Age, along with the original Batgirl, and they were supposed to be love interests for Batman and Robin. Initially, they were popular, but due to whatever reason, they just didn't last, and they were just kind of forgotten. Eventually, Batgirl gets turned into Flamebird during the Silver Age, and we got a new Batgirl, which was Barbara Gordon, and Batwoman's just still kind of forgotten. She's eventually killed off during Dennis O'Neil's Tales of the Demons, which now is retconned out because we get a new Batwoman. Batwoman is reintroduced during DC's 52 big, huge event that they had going on in Volume 1. And they do a lot with the character, and they completely give her a new overhaul. And not only in character, but also in look. If you look at Batwoman, she's completely updated in her costume. And it's very, very reminiscent of the Batman Beyond costume. If you look at the bat symbol on the chest, if you look at the colors that are used, the red and black, the cape, everything looks very reminiscent of the Batman Beyond costume. But the character is completely different in that. One is she's incredibly rich, so she can finance her own operations. In saying that, she also doesn't work with Batman at all. She's met Batman, I think, maybe once, and she's worked with Nightwing once. That's about it. She really doesn't work with any of the Bat family, which is, again, not necessarily a bad thing. And also, she's not a love interest for Batman. She's a love interest for Renee Montoya, the new Question. Which brings me to the next topic I want to talk about, and that is the fact that Batwoman is lesbian. To quote Jim Lee from Boston Comic Con 2010, he said, "It's very hard to sell certain characters who are female, who are lesbian, gay, or who have a certain ethnicity like black or Hispanic." He said this is because it's not the character's fault, but it's because the readers automatically give them stigmatism that the only reason why these characters are popular or good is because of that one character trait, being homosexual or being of a certain ethnicity, or even being female. And I find this to be true because a lot of people judge characters right away based on those facts. I've talked to a lot of people out there who have never read a Green Lantern book at all. And they say, well, Jon Stewart's only a Green Lantern because they need a black Green Lantern in the Corps. Now, I don't know about you, but doesn't that come off as a little bit racist? Just a little bit? Or a little bit discriminative? Because, well, if you ever read Green Lantern, Jon Stewart's a kick-ass character. It's not because Jon Stewart's black. It's because Jon Stewart's just badass. He's the man. And, you know, to judge a character on one character trait, say their ethnicity, is a little ludicrous in my head. Now, the same thing happened to Batwoman. When Batwoman first came out and everyone found out that she was lesbian, they jumped on her and said, well, that's the only character trait that she has, is that she's lesbian. And again, this baffles me because 90% of the people I talked to that said that never read any of her stuff in 52 or any of the other stuff that was shown of her or any of her stuff in Detective Comics. They just kind of said that because that's what they think. Again, this comes off as discriminating of the character and their ethnicity and of their life choices. So I think that's a little stupid because you're not giving the character a chance. It comes off very closed-minded in my mind. Now, stuff like that doesn't affect me. A character can be gay, a character can be black or Hispanic. And I don't see that. All I see is the character. I see how good they are or how bad they are. It's just another character trait they have. And the same thing with Batwoman is, I love Batwoman. I love Jon Stewart. I love Black Lightning. Not because the character has those character traits, but because the character is good. And I just find it a little bit crazy that people would still discriminate even on fictional characters based on that. I mean, am I wrong to think this, that people are a little silly, a little discriminative, a little closed-minded for thinking that? Whatever, it just shows how ignorant of a world we live in, I guess. But in saying that, Batwoman is more than just a character that happens to be a lesbian. She is just an amazing character. So let's actually talk about the story itself. And I'm sorry I went off on a rant there, but it does bother me when people judge characters and people in general based off their life choices or their ethnicity. I have friends who are of different ethnicities than I am, and I have friends who are gay and lesbian, and you know, I've seen them go through a lot of tough stuff, and so more so my friends who are homosexual, less so than the ones that are of a different race than I am. But I see what people go through, and I think it's just stupid. And the fact that people judge comic book characters, fictional comic book characters, before reading them, I just think that's stupid. But then again, let's move on. The story of Batwoman ties in a little bit more to 52 and her stuff in 52 than anything in the Batman universe tying into R.I.P. or Final Crisis. This isn't about Batman or the aftermath of Batman not being alive or being with us anymore. This is about Batwoman. And the only thing you need to know about this going into this is what happened to her in 52, which I guess I could say is a lot, but I'll sum it down for you for those who have not read 52. In 52, Batwoman goes up against a cult who is led by a woman named Whisper. Now, Whisper is actually an underling of Ra's al Ghul. This cult uses genetic mutation to mutate their followers into grotesque animal beasts. Now, Batwoman goes to take care of this cult, however, they get the better hand of her and stab her through the heart as a ritual of sacrifice. Surprisingly, she lives. It's comics, whatever, just let it happen. She lives, and eventually the cult is taken care of, kind of. Now we move into the Batwoman comic, and in this, she is still reeling from the effects of what happened to her during 52. And she wants to get revenge on this cult. Not only to get revenge on them, but to also stop them from doing the evil stuff that they're doing. She finds out that the cult has a new cult leader named Alice. Now, I want to take a second and just point out, Alice is a badass. One of the most impressive, new, interesting characters and villains that have come out, in my opinion. Just the design in the character, the art that was used on her, the fact that she's always dressed in white, the unique costumes that she has, and also the tone and dialogue that she used, in addition to her backstory, which I don't want to go into because I don't want to ruin anything. Alice is a unique character to have as a villain for Batwoman, a good foil for her. So I really liked Alice, but she becomes the new cult leader, and Batwoman wants to take her out and also take out the cult in general, and stop them from actually destroying Gotham itself. We also get a lot of Kathy Kane's backstory and really get to see her develop. We get at least around 2 issues dedicated to her backstory. It's either 1 or 2 issues, I forget exactly, but we get a lot of her backstory, which is nice. It really develops the character, gives her motive, gives her personality, and it really makes her shine as a character. It really makes me think that Batwoman is one of the best new characters that have come out in the past 4-ish, 5 years. So, in saying that, I'm not going to reveal too much of the story. I'm going to go into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Greg Rucka, you beautiful little scandalous man. Greg Rucka, I think he's a great writer. I particularly enjoyed his work on Wonder Woman, which I think is fantastic. A lot of people don't give it the credit it deserves. It was a great run on Wonder Woman and a great run in comics in general. And I'm glad Greg Rucka took over this title because he really worked this character very well. He gave Batwoman character development, he gave her motive, he gave her backstory that was absolutely interesting, and he made the character shine. Now, in going back to the character being lesbian, that's not actually brought up that much in this story. It's only brought up with a few tidbit flashbacks that we get with Renee Montoya. That's about it. And then also with her being in the army. And that's really about it. So he really developed the character based on the character itself, rather than any character traits that she may or may not have. So he does a very good job at developing the character and really makes me and the reader fall in love with this character. The only problem I had with Cassie Cain as a character is just her tattoos. They looked really out of place. Especially seeing that she had one tattoo on her arm from way back in the day, but in 52 she didn't have the tattoo. This was a little off-putting. But besides that, Batwoman is definitely one of the best new characters that have come out in recent years. And can stand alone on her own without Batman or his supporting family. Which brings me to the next good, the fact that this is very disconnected from Batman in the Batman universe. It's placed in Gotham, but that's about all. We get one appearance of Batman, and that's it. Batwoman is the character that doesn't need Batman. She is her own character, doing her own thing, fighting her own battles. So in that, I think it's great because she can stand on her own. If you look at a lot of the Batman titles that come out, in general, they always need Batman, at least for the first two trades, to really get this comic going. But, however, Batwoman can do it on her own, which just shows you how good the writing is in this. The story itself has a nice feel to it, borderline epic feel. And it has kind of a surreal feel to it too because of the art, which brings me to the next good is that the art is fantastic. The person that does the art in this is the same person that does the art in Batman in the Black Glove trade. And if you read that, the art is dynamic, and it's new, and it's catchy, and edgy. And I really like the art, the color that was used in this. So the art was great in this. I also like the relationship that Batwoman had with her sister and with her father. Being of military background, she has a unique relationship with her father. And her love for her sister is very interesting. Seeing that, I believe they're twins. Yes. They looked exactly alike, so I can only assume. So I like the relationships that she has with those characters, which was nice. We also get a little bit more on exactly how she became involved with Renee Montoya, which kind of answers a few of the questions that we had from 52 and other stories. So, those are the goods. Bad. I can't think of any bad. The only bad I could think for the reader itself is really why you're buying this comic. See, this comic here is its own standalone comic. It really shouldn't be connected to the Batman universe, although it is. And what I'm saying that is if you're going to pick this up because you want to add to your Batman collection, you probably should wait for this. This is disconnected from the Batman universe. This is its own standalone comic. So in saying that, I do recommend heavily picking this up. This is fantastic. This is really, really good. However, pick it up for Batwoman. Do not pick it up for Batman. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people pick up Robin or Nightwing or Batgirl because they're Batman characters, or Gotham Central because it's a Batman book. Do not pick this up because it's a Batman book that's in the Batman universe. Pick this up because you want to read Batwoman. If you want to try something new, if you really want to go out and be risky, if you really want to try something that I'm telling you is good, I recommend getting Batwoman. But get it for Batwoman. Do not get it for Batman. Because I think you're going to enjoy it less if you get it for Batman rather than if you get it for Batwoman. Okay? So with that said, I do recommend Batwoman Elegy. Great star too. Great character. Greg Rucka really does himself justice here, doing a fantastic job writing. It's definitely worth getting. It really is. This was a joy and a pleasure to read. It was. So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is Andrew saying, peace out. For now.